Have you ever had a no start and you're pretty sure it's a bad fuel pump, but everybody who tests it says it tests good? Why can't they find it? Well, here's why. The fuel pump is submerged in the fuel tank, so you have to drop the tank in order to get to it, and nobody wants to do that without getting paid for it. But a very easy test is simply a fuel pressure test. That's pretty cheap, and it will tell you if the fuel pump pressure is good or bad. But here's where the problem lies. The fuel pump has two sides. The mechanical pump side that actually moves the fuel up from the bottom and pumps it all the way up to the injectors. The other side is the electrical motor side that actually spins the pump so it can move the fuel. Either one, or even both, could fail. But if the fuel pressure side is good, and the fuel pressure test proves that, the other side, the electrical side, needs to be checked. Now remember, it's an electric motor, so it has moving parts. The armature, the commutator, and the brushes. The armature carries the current, which enables the torque in the motor, and that generates the electromotive force, which causes the spinning action. The commutator and brushes are the vulnerable wear points. Here's an example of a good and a badly worn commutator. You can see that because the contact points are worn. You don't have good current flow. A worn out commutator usually shows up after you turn off the vehicle and try to restart it. The worn away surface can create a gap, break contact, and cause current not to flow. Here are some examples of worn out commutators. Remember, the fuel pressure will test good as long as the current is flowing and the rotor is spinning. No contact, no current, no flow. Keep in mind, there are different types and styles of commutators. Another thing that can cause wear or loss of contact is corrosion or contamination. And another thing that can happen is worn or broken brushes. Now remember, if the current is flowing and the pump is spinning, you can have good fuel pressure. So how do you identify the problem when the fuel pump is submerged in the tank without dropping the tank? Well, by its unique signature. It's called a lab scope waveform. Here's what a good signature looks like. A regular sawtooth pattern with no dropouts. And here's a bad signature. Look at the dropouts. If the spinning pump actually stops right on top of one of those dropouts, it creates a gap or stop in current flow. No contact, no current flow. Here are some examples of how this may look. When there are no dropouts, the momentum of the spinning action keeps the rotor moving and keeps the current flowing. But if the spinning stops on top right of one of those dropouts, there'll be no contact and no current flow.